शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं सच्चारचर परिपूर्णोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं नित्यानन्दस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।
Welcome to Satsang. We'll start as always with one of our questions from an advance, giving those who aren't physically here with us the opportunity to get their questions answered as well. And then we'll open it up to any question that anyone who is here with us may have. Please share your thoughts on enlightenment. Pujya Swamiji always says, enlightenment simply means living in the light. He says it's not that suddenly you grow horns and you look different, or that suddenly the shape of you changes. It's the difference between living in darkness and living in light. There's a beautiful story of a seeker who hears about this great master, who's a Buddhist master. He heard about this great Buddhist master, and he was the one, from everything this man had found, was going to be the one who would give him the right teachings to attain enlightenment. The man was Buddhist, and so naturally he was going to a Buddhist leader. And he finally reaches the hermitage where this monk was living. And he knocks on the door and there's no answer. He goes around the side, doesn't see anything. And finally he hears a little something coming around one of the sides. So he slowly, because of course he doesn't know where there are going to be, wild animals, maybe he has dogs, maybe there's people, you don't tend to just walk into somebody's home area until you've been invited. But nobody's answering at the door. So he walks around to where he hears the sound. And in the back of the little hermitage is a man, and he's chopping firewood. And so the seeker says, I'm looking for, and he gives the name of the saint he's looking for. And the man chopping the firewood says, yes, that is what they call me. And the seeker was amazed. This enlightened master who's going to be the one who gives him enlightenment here, he's just chopping firewood. And he says to him, but I thought you were this great enlightened master. Master's quiet, but yes, clearly he's the enlightened master. The man says, so what did you used to do before you were this great enlightened master? And he says, well, I used to chop firewood, make a fire, cook some food. And the seeker says, well, but now that you're enlightened, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm chopping some firewood to make a fire and cook some food. And the seeker can't believe it. That, well, enlightenment, like everything is supposed to change. And he says, so what's the point of enlightenment if you were chopping wood before and you're chopping wood now? And the sage says, the wood is the same, the chopping is the same, but he who chops is not the same. And this is what enlightenment is about. It's not, oh, I become enlightened. You know, a lot of people have this misconception that somehow spiritual enlightenment, spiritual progress is synonymous with having everything go right in your life. That somehow if I were enlightened, I would get everything that I wanted. No, rather I would want everything I got. It's not a magic wand. It's not when I'm enlightened I'll be able to get whatever I want. This job, this money, this husband or wife or child or whatever I may want. Enlightenment is not the magic wand to get whatever you want, but it does make you want whatever you have. And that's a really important distinction, because life is still life. There's still wood to be chopped, there's still fires to be made, there's still food to be cooked, lawns to be mowed. All of this is still what life is made of, traffic to be sat in. The things of life stay the same. But rather than going through the things of life in darkness, you go through them in light. And so rather than being attached, we spoke last night about attachment, rather than being attached to how this works out or how that works out or how you behave, how you speak to me, rather than that, I move through in light, meaning I can see. I can actually see the truth of who I am, which is consciousness, divinity, wholeness, fullness, love, awareness. Whatever we call it, that's who we are. So enlightenment makes us know who we are. And when we know who we are, moving through the world becomes much less complicated. We may still do a lot of the same things. We still chop the wood, make the fire, cook the food, draw the water, wash the dishes, mow the lawn. Enlightenment doesn't mean that out of the sky suddenly 30 people fall to be your servants. Enlightenment is that as I'm doing those things, there is light. That instead of being the one chopping the firewood or lighting the fire or cooking the food or doing the dishes, thinking, why am I always the one doing this? That's not fair. Why doesn't she ever do her part? Why doesn't he ever do his part? This isn't fair. Why does my brother have 10 servants and I don't have any? Instead of thinking like that in the darkness, I'm still doing the tasks, but I'm doing them in light. I'm doing them in peace. I'm doing them connected to divinity. connected to joy, connected to my fullness. So there's nothing less about doing the dishes. Normally we think, oh, this isn't fair. I'd rather be doing this. I'd rather be doing that. Why isn't this person holding up their end of the bargain? Why am I always the one? Our lives are rooted in this complaining, this comparing, this criticizing. And all of the comparing and complaining and criticizing comes out of one myth. And it's what we call the myth of scarcity. The myth of scarcity says there isn't enough. Whether it's there's not enough time, so these stupid dishes keep me from being able to watch the show I want to watch, or listen to the music I want to listen to, or read the book I want to read, or go out with the friends I want to see. So, myth of scarcity, we think there's not enough time. We also tend to think there's not enough success. Another myth of scarcity. So if you think honestly, when a friend or a colleague or someone has a success, we should be really happy for them. We would like to be happy for them. The part of us that knows values and dharma knows we should be happy for them. But we're not, if we're honest with ourselves. On some internal level, there's actually a part of us that goes, ugh. Somebody got married, they had a kid, they got a new house, they got a great job, whatever it was. We should be really happy, except the dilemma is there is this myth of scarcity. It's not that I actually wanted that job or that husband or that house, but in this illusion, in this darkness that we live in, there's somehow a finite pie of success or pie of happiness. And if someone else has just gotten a really big piece, there's less of it for me. And when someone else goes through trouble, they got fired, they didn't get a promotion, there's this part of us that feels happy. And if we're spiritual people, we hate that part of us. Think you shouldn't think like that, and we shouldn't. But as long as we live in this myth of scarcity, we will, because if someone else has lost something or failed, it's like, more pie for me. That success pie, that happiness pie is bigger. And this is that darkness. And so enlightenment frees us of all of that nonsense, all of that darkness that says, there isn't enough. You are finite. You are this body. You are your roles. You are how much happiness you can accumulate and acquire, ideally in packages. That's the darkness. The light says, you are divine. You are divine flowing through this particular form, and you're divine flowing through that form, and you're divine flowing through this form and that form. But we're each just a different wave on the ocean of divinity. Nobody's taking from anybody. We all are full. There's enough. There's more than enough. We already are full. I don't need anything from your pie of success or pie of happiness. And so enlightenment actually is the answer to how to live in the world successfully, joyfully, peacefully. And so think about it not as this far off, absolutely unattainable goal that I could only do if, I had come out of the womb pure and perfect and divine, and I spent 30 years living a cave in the Himalayas, fasting and abstaining from everything. And if I didn't do that, well, then it's over this life. Maybe better luck next life. Don't think like that. Think simply. What darkness am I living in? Where's the darkness in me? Is there jealousy? Is there anger? Are there grudges? Are there unfulfilled expectations that make me feel frustrated? Do I feel like there's a pie out there of success, of happiness, and that I'm not getting my big enough piece? And other people are getting more than I am, and it's not fair? Do I want a bigger piece of that pie than I'm getting? These are not bad. There's nothing wrong with you. Because that's yet another darkness, is that our mind says, oh my God, look at this. Now you're also in the darkness. Now it's not bad enough that you just have a little jealousy or anger. Actually, now look at this. She said you are living in darkness. Darkness of ignorance, which is very different from darkness of badness. This is not a darkness that says you're bad or you're wrong or there's anything wrong with you. It simply says you can't see. If the lights go out and I stand up and trip over this table and knock the glass of water on the floor, it's not because I'm bad. It's not even because I'm clumsy. It's just because I couldn't see. Lights were out, it was dark. Forgot the table was there. The answer to tripping over tables is to turn on the light. It's much easier to navigate the room when the lights are on. It's much easier to navigate our lives when the lights are on. And so when we're living in this place where we can't see, and we can't see the fullness of who we are, we can't see the divinity of who we are, and our society just keeps saying, you are what you look like, you are the color of your skin, you are how much you weigh, you are how much money you make. It's like being blind and having someone tell you the sky is, purple. Well, if you've never seen it, you don't even know what purple is, and someone says the sky is purple, okay, so it is. Then someone asks you what color is the sky, you say purple. Because you can't see, and that's what people tell you. And of course the answer is not to find all those people telling you wrong things, because they're not doing it on purpose. They honestly think sky is purple. The answer is to figure out how to be able to see, so that we can know for ourselves. And this is the path to enlightenment. How can I see? How can I get the lights on in my life so I can see? And that's what enlightenment is. And this is where our spiritual practice, this is the meditation we do, the yoga we do, the breath work we do, the service work that we do, the seva, the learning that we do, all of what we do that is part of our spiritual practice, karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, all of these things, we pray, we chant, we serve, we meditate. We do all of these things because this is the path that we walk to enlightenment. So don't think of it as something very far away. Think of it as just a light switch away. My favorite story, quotation from this, is a young boy from London who was here a few years ago with his mom, who's a dear friend and a very, very close and long time disciple of Pujya Swamiji's. And they were here a few years ago, and one of her young sons, as he was leaving, he said, I feel like someone has reached inside my heart and turned the switch from off to on. This is enlightenment. That light switch that was off is now on. And you can see. So focus instead of on the darkness, instead of what's wrong with you. Don't think like that. Just focus on how can I find that light switch. Where's the light switch? Who can help me find the light switch? What do I need to do to find that light switch? Pujya Swamiji said to me in the beginning when I had first come here, we were talking about Western psychology compared to Eastern spirituality. He says, you people in the West, you sit around in a dark room and you talk about how long it's been dark and what it feels like to be in a dark room and why it might be dark and what the molecules of darkness are made of and where the darkness came from, and you share your stories of darkness. He said, here in the East, we go like this on the walls looking for a light switch. So, if you're looking for enlightenment, as they say, don't curse the darkness. Light the candle. Find the switch. Find that light. Because once you can see, doesn't matter how long it had been dark. Doesn't matter why it had been dark or where the darkness had come from, because now you can see. The rope on the floor will never again be a snake. You can see now. So we focus on finding the light, being the light. I'm happy to open it up to any questions that anyone here may have before taking any of the others that have come in advance. Yes.
Sadhvi, despite of listening a lot from you all and the same, I'm never bothered about this question, who am I? Never bothers me, whosoever am I. The question which rather bothers me is, what do I want?
Great. So, how do we answer the question, what do I want? Well, the first piece is, if you're going to answer the question properly, it would be really beneficial to understand who you are first. So even if the question of who am I doesn't bother you, as you say, but what do I want bothers you, if you don't know who you are, then what you want becomes very difficult. And so, for example, if we take nature, I always try to take wisdom from nature because I figure nature really has got it right. It's us who are stumbling around in the darkness. If you look in nature and you say to a cow, what do you want? Well, what does the cow want? The cow would like some grass to eat. Right? Some nice, fresh, open sky. A nice, gentle person to milk it, because that extra milk gets, a little heavy in the udders. Then you say to a tiger, what do you want? Well, the tiger has no interest in grass. Tiger wants a zebra. Or some other animal to eat. Tiger's a carnivore. Grass is useless for a tiger. Tiger wants that meat. Then you say to a monkey, what do you want? Well, the monkey, in addition to food, wants branches it can swing on, it wants to jump. Okay. So, if they don't know what they are, and you say to them, what do you want? It would be very difficult. I mean, how do you know? Do you want grass? Do you want bananas? Do you want a zebra? Do you want bird food? Do you want to live in a nest in a tree? Do you want happiness? Good. Okay.
And that too, Sadhvi, it's what they say, permanent, ceaseless state. And when I go, shall I continue for a while?
No, that's okay. I got it. So, what you want is happiness. So good. First of all, in 60 seconds, 90 seconds, You went from not knowing what you want to knowing what you want, which is great. I would still say, and we'll come back to how to find happiness, but you still need to know who you are. Because again, when you don't know who you are, that happiness is very elusive. But they actually go together. Because as you said so beautifully, I want that happiness that stays in a permanent state. So what makes most of us happy? So if we go around and I say, tell me what makes you happy. Okay? Well, let's do it. I mean, I won't go around, but just throw out some things. What are the sorts of things that make you happy? Connection. Great.
Lovely answer.
Yes, great answer. Any other answers? Food. Presumably good food. Tasty food.
Yeah.
Anything else? Connection, food, peace. Anything else make anybody happy? Traveling, great. Achievement, success, good. Anything else?
Sadhvi, I have heard that.
Yeah. Go. Anything else? That's okay. Anything else? Spiritual awakening. Anything else? Any other sources of happiness? Love. I'm sorry? Love, absolutely. Love, yes. Good. So what we now know is that pretty much everything, ranging from food to spiritual awakening, can make us happy. Right? Along the way, you've got some success and some achievement, love, connection. The dilemma with all of this, except for love, connection, and spiritual awakening, is that the happiness from them all dissipates very quickly. So an achievement makes me very happy, success makes me very happy, until there's a higher fruit that I want. So reaching this rung of the ladder was great. I never thought I would get there, but now I realize there's another rung. I want to get there. Making a certain amount of money every month makes me very happy, until I realize, oh, that was easy. Why not that much? That guy's making this much. Now I want that. Even things like peace or happiness, which is what we began with, the dilemma with both of them is that they tend to be states of mind. So if I said to you, what is happiness? What is peace? Eventually, if we massaged it and churned it for a while, we would come to some description of them as emotions or states of mind. Right? Well, when the state of my mind is different, my peace is gone. My happiness is gone. And so this is where, how do we find that happiness that actually lasts? And this is where it has to be a happiness of who we are, not what we do, not where we go, not what we eat, not what we buy, not what we get, not how our relationships are. But it has to be based on who I am. And so love can be a permanent state of happiness if it's not dependent upon the object whom I love. The dilemma with love is it comes with a lot of strings and a lot of packaging. So if I can experience love as the state of who I am, this being with whom I'm in love at the moment has triggered in me the experience of love. So I've got this internal, what I call love manufacturing plant. And the way that you know that is, this air conditioner gives us cold air. Dirk, sitting right under it, gets much more cool air than I do all the way over here. Because it's literally coming from that machine. The closer you are to it, the more cool air you get. Farther away you are, less cool air you get. But love, if the one you love walks away 10 feet, goes to the bathroom, goes to the kitchen, goes to work, goes on an errand, goes on a business trip thousands of miles away, nothing happens to the love. It doesn't dissipate. Get 1,000 miles away from this air conditioner, might as well not exist. Get half a mile away, it still might as well not exist. Because it's coming from there. And this is how you know the love is actually coming from you, because you're the only thing that's still here. The object of your love is gone, whether it's 10 feet or 10,000 miles. Being in love with another being has simply turned on your internal love manufacturing plant. And the reason that that feels so good, and that love always comes out when we say, what makes us happy? Love. Because it is the nature of who you are. And when that plant starts churning, every bit of us goes, yes, 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 because this is who I am. I am love. And that's why it feels so right. But when we attach the experience of love to the object who has simply turned that machine on, then we get all wrapped up with attachment and expectations and conditions. This is when you fall into love and then out of love. When the love is in you, how can you fall out of it? Who shut your plant down? But our own expectations of the loved one make us think that it's all about them, and then that plant shuts down. So love can be absolutely a permanent way of experiencing happiness if I realize I am just a producer of love. And I'm always looking for someone to love. Not all romantically, of course. In my case, not any romantically. In your case, presumably at least one romantically. But love everyone. Love everything. Be love. When you can literally be love because it is the nature of who you are, then it can be a permanent experience of happiness. Because the love that you feel for another being, because it's produced in you, it actually fills you and floods you long before it overflows onto that other person. That's why being in love feels so good. So, if we can experience love as who we are, then yes, it's a way to have permanent happiness. Connection feels so good and can be a way of permanent happiness. How? Because in connection, what happens? I lose the place I end and you begin. What does connect mean? It means two become one. It's just the actual definition of the word. There used to be two, now they've become one. So where there used to be you and me in connection, there's one. And it feels so good because the truth of who I am is boundless, is borderless, is expansive. And so when I connect with just one, it feels really good because it's the first experience that I have of losing that sense of this is all of me. But imagine that you could have that with the universe. That's when connection becomes a permanent state of happiness. When it's not, I was connected to you because I loved you, but now I've stopped loving you because you've stopped dancing according to my tune. Now I no longer feel connection. These relationships are just ways to experience the truth of who we are and the ultimate relationship with the divine. It doesn't matter what religion you are, what name or form or how you conceive of God. But our relationships are simply ways to experience the divine. That's the teaching of even the householder phase of life, is use this relationship as a way to experience God. So that it's not about, this, my husband or wife. It's, God through this relationship. Can I see God in the one I love? So it becomes a relationship with God. It becomes a connection to God. And when you have that, then it becomes permanent. And so if what we're looking for is a permanent state of happiness, we have to find it within. Because we are the only permanent part of our life. There is no food or achievement or success or experience or relationship or anything that you will have forever. Even the relationships. Eventually, even if you don't get divorced or break up, eventually one of you is going to die first. It's just the rule of nature. Chances are people don't die at exactly the same time. One of you will die first. So you've lost that relationship. You are the only permanent thing for you. And so if you want your happiness to be permanent, that's your answer of where to find it, is within. And how to find it? By knowing who you are. Not in an academic way, not in necessarily a philosophical way. I agree with you. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be able to give a lecture on who you are, write a book on who you are. I absolutely agree. It becomes a very intellectual, philosophical exercise. But you need to have an experience of who you are, even if there are no words you can use to describe it, such that you know you are love. You are boundless. You are borderless. You are divinity. You are consciousness. That experience you have to have. Otherwise, I'm going to keep looking for the food or the job or the acclaim or the money or the success or the relationships to make me happy, to fill me up. So that should become why you need to know who you are for that happiness. But don't worry about the semantics of it. Don't worry about the philosophy of it. Just go into it for the experience, because that is what you will always have. And that's the only way you will have a happiness that never fluctuates or leaves you. Beautiful. Are there any other questions? Yes.
What exactly is grace?
We'll take this as the last question tonight. What is grace? Grace is the presence of the divine in a way that makes it feel like and seem like the unseen hand moving everything. Grace is that which is flowing and moving and creating, but without the form, without the pomp and show. Grace is that which remains usually unseen and happy to remain unseen, happy to remain unnamed, because very frequently that which is due only to grace we attribute to something else. Oh, I did this. I worked really hard. I made that happen. It was grace. What wakes you up every morning? Well, most of us would say, well, because I remember to set the alarm clock. What actually wakes you up? Grace. We are gone. No control over yourself when you're asleep. There's nothing in you that wakes you up. What wakes you up? What is it that digests our food? We throw in junk. Look at how this incredible vessel of a body, this machinery, look at how that works. Amazing. We can't even remember to breathe. When we do meditation and I say, focus on your breath, "30 seconds, maybe? Can you do it before your mind wanders? Maybe a minute, couple minutes if you've got some practice meditating, 10 seconds if you don't. Right? That's why we add a mantra, all right, keep us focused. We can't even remember to breathe for more than 30 seconds. What is it that's breathing us? I remember when I first met Pujya Swamiji, it used to drive me crazy because I was amazed, in awe, enamored. There are no words to explain what it's, like to be in his presence. But I had no framework in which to put it, so it wasn't like I walked in knowing, oh yeah, now I'm in the presence of an enlightened master, and so it should feel like this. I had no framework for it. And so I was just completely amazed every hour of every day. And I would say to him, oh my God, you are amazing. And he would say, it's all God's grace. And after a few times of that, I literally started saying to him, yeah, I know it's all God's grace, but really you are amazing. And he would say, it's all God's grace. And it actually drove me crazy because I felt like he wasn't listening. Yes, I knew it was God's grace, and you are amazing. You are so special. You are so different. You are so incredible. You are so divine. You are all these things. And he would say, it's all God's grace. And it was years before I finally realized that this was not just a humble deflection of my and others' praise, that it was not just a practice of staying humble, but actually this is his actual experience. He doesn't just say it because he's humble. He says it because that is his truth. That is what he's living and experiencing, and it doesn't matter what he's achieving or accomplishing or doing. He knows it's all God's grace. I can't wake myself up. I don't remember to breathe. I mean, he probably does, but it's all God's grace. So grace is that which tragically we ignore, and we try to give lots of other different types of names to it. And grace is okay with that. That's what's so graceful about grace, right? The person who's always, stealing the limelight, saying, I did that. Not very graceful. The one who's, the one in the back, sort of serving from behind. That's the one people actually, those who pay attention, actually notice and say, wow, God, isn't she graceful? Look at that. There's a grace in that. Why is it the same word? Because that's how grace is. Grace is not the hit you over the head. Grace, you actually have to notice that it's grace. And this is the tragedy when people say, God, I wish that there were grace in my life. I wish I could experience grace. Because it's there and available for everyone. But we're just looking in the wrong place. We're looking in the limelight. Whether it's the limelight of outside of us. Oh, that's flashy. Oh, that looks nice. Nice house, nice car, nice job. Or we're looking at the limelight inside of us. Why aren't they paying enough attention to me? When do I get to be the boss? Doesn't everybody know I'm the one who did this? I've got much more potential than this. I'm supposed to be something bigger and better than this. So that's the distraction by the inner limelight. And we're attracted to that. That's where most of our eyes go outside and where our thoughts go inside. Grace is okay. There, waiting, waiting, waiting. Until you look away from just that which is hogging the limelight. And realize, oh wait, grace is there, has been there the whole time. But I've been so focused on that which glitters, outside or inside, that I haven't even noticed this incredible presence of grace that's there and waiting for you. Grace is that, by the way, which gives that full, permanent experience of happiness. Because when we realize that grace is there and that our only task is to allow it rather than getting lost in the glitter and spotlight outside or the glitter and spotlight of my mind inside. And I can just allow grace to permeate me. This is what creates the permanent happiness. But grace requires a surrender. When we were speaking about, you weren't here, but we were talking about surrender for a few nights ago, and I kept emphasizing the need to bow, to get out of the way, and that's what surrender is. And the reason for that, is because grace needs space to flow. And so when our ego is hogging all the space, I'm the one who did it, I'm more than this, I'm bigger than this, I'm this, whatever it may be. When our ego is hogging all the space inside, there's no room for grace to flow. And this is where that surrender becomes so important, so that there is room for grace to flow. Have a beautiful night, and we'll see you all tomorrow.